Get ready. Get set. It's time for the basement view. Hey, what's happening? What's happening? It is Friday. I am here. Happy to be here. Man, boy, happy to be here. 418, getting right on through April. How's everybody? It is a wonderful day to be alive. Had a great day today. A great day. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up, ring that bell, do all that funny stuff, dance a jig, whatever you feel like doing. Hey, Lisa, what's happening? I feel really, really good. And that's just personally. Hey, James, what's up? What up, Carmen? Y'all, it hit 78 degrees today here. 78 degrees. Man, you talking about somebody that was happy today. I cannot tell you all how happy I was today to get out in the air. There was a breeze. I really don't care for breezes because usually they freezing. Hey, that's right, Carmen. Woohoo. Hey, what up, Charles? That's right. Woohoo. I got out. Guess what? Got on the bicycle. Rode the bike today. Of course, I've ridden a couple of days this week. And it was cold as heck the other days, but I was determined. You know, I don't know if you can see it in my face, but I've put on some poundage over the last couple of months. Sitting there on the keister eating. 84 and sunny. Man, must be nice. Must be nice. Boy, I would love that right now. But hey, this 78 was great, and it was a warm breeze. It wasn't cold. And somebody was out there barbecuing. And that told a story. That told a story. And I went out there and I rode and rode, and I felt great doing it. The other few days that I rode, again, it was cold. So, and cold and a really big cold wind was blowing. So they were not particularly fun days. But today, it was great. Also, managed to get some yard work done out behind my fence. I don't know if I told you all. Yeah, hey, you're right. Barbecuing, even better. And I can't wait to do that. I should have did that and earlier. Should have had that started. But I did not. So, but I enjoyed it anyway. Somebody was barbecuing. And hey, you know, if I can sniff it out, I might get to mooch me a meal. But anyway, as I was saying, I was trying to get some work done out behind my fence. Well, when I moved into my house, there was no fence. I put a fence up, and out behind my fence, there is just a ton of growth. I used to cut all the way to the neighbors' fences, but when I put my fence up, that went by the wayside. So I went out there behind the fence. I was determined this year that I was going to get all that growth down. And there was some kind of creeping vines back there that has infiltrated and literally was pulling my fence down in a section. And boy, that really pissed me off when I saw that. So I decided I was going to get out there. So for the last couple of days, I've been out there attacking that. I've been able to get outside, and getting outside always makes me feel better. Always. I really love being outside. So today was 78, and tomorrow, Saturday, you guessed it, 56. You know, this is the armpit of the United States. What does it go from 78 to 56 the next day? What does that happen at? Indiana. Y'all know, I used to, from time to time, when I'd be on a trip somewhere, like one particular time in Myrtle Beach. Yeah, 56 is too cold. Of course it is. I was in Myrtle Beach, and I was talking to a lady at a convenience store, and I just asked her, how she liked living in Myrtle Beach. She said she loved it. She asked me where I was from. I said, Indiana. She said, Indiana? What's that? I was blown away. I said, you never heard of Indiana? She said, no, where's that at? I'm like, all right, never mind. Oddly enough, I'm standing in Las Vegas in a liquor store. Same thing. Where you from? Indiana. Where's that? Indiana. Hey, Lisa, it ain't just the South. It's the West too. Nobody knows where Indiana is. And why would they? Ain't nothing but corn in Indiana. Corn and KKK. Of course you wouldn't know anything about Indiana. So they slow to the draw down there? Oh, Lisa, you would not be surprised to know that there are slow to the draw everywhere, not just down there. Of course, everything is perspective. Everything is perspective. I gotta tell you. Wow. We, it's how you perceive things from where you are. Michael Jackson's hometown. Now, I tell you what, anytime you mention Michael Jackson, then people will say Gary, Indiana. Hey, Ronnie, people will say Gary, Indiana, but they still won't know where it is. Unless you are one of the many who came out to Indiana to visit his home. And I go over there occasionally, and it is, it's a nice little site to visit. It kind of brings back some memories considering, I was around and in the neighborhood back when they were living there and kids. So that's another perspective. Everything is about perception. So, I gotta tell you, man, I just feel good today. I feel good today. And as a matter of fact, it's really too nice outside to be sober. So about 5 minutes after I get through talking to y'all, I'm gonna be drunk as hell. But I really do feel good today. There was an incident that happened in Houston about a week ago that I wanted to talk about back then, and I never did get a chance to talk about it. There was a guy out there who set up some gambling houses, and you gotta hear this because you know it falls under the world's dumbest criminals category. You know, the world's dumbest criminals. All right. Man, what does that sound? Oh, that's somebody on a motorcycle going really fast. I don't know if y'all heard that, but somebody who just went by here going really fast, or at least sounded like he was. There's a gentleman out there in Houston. I'm going to play this video. The sound ain't the best sound in the world, so I'm going to let y'all know off the bat. But check it out. Tell me if this ain't one of the dumbest criminals. That was a Dodge Charger? Oh, okay. I know it sounded like something moving pretty fast. Check this out.
Douglas Ganji, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Texas. With me here at the podium are representatives of HSI, Houston PD, IRS, FBI, ATF, DEA, and the Harris County Constable Precinct 1. Together, we are here today to announce the results of more than a 5-year-long investigation into a wide-reaching illegal gambling operation here in the Houston area, specifically in the form of illegal game rooms. Yesterday afternoon, a coordinated effort of over 720 law enforcement agents and officers executed search warrants at 45 locations in the Houston area, 30 of them at these illegal game rooms. This operation was executed pursuant to a 37-count indictment against 16 defendants, alleging illegal gambling, conspiracy to launder monetary instruments, and bribery, as well as other charges. And the alleged mastermind at the center of this charged conduct was Nazir Ali. Ali is alleged to have used family members and other Confederates to operate his dozens of game rooms across Houston, to transport bulk currency proceeds between these rooms, and to launder those proceeds for businesses he controlled. The scheme itself was sophisticated in its design and its operation. It utilized armed security, surveillance systems, membership lists, and member ID cards to ensure that those that were accessing these game rooms were legitimate customers of theirs and couldn't otherwise expose the operation. These premises were obtained through the use of nominal straw lessees to further insulate Ali and his operation from law enforcement scrutiny. Ali is alleged to have protected this scheme by recruiting what he believed to be a corrupt Houston police officer, initially paying this officer $1,000 a week in protection money. But as the game room empire grew, so do these payments, with this officer receiving $10, $20, $30, and even up to $40,000 in cash at each of these meetings. Over the course of this conspiracy, Ali is alleged to have paid this undercover officer over $500,000, all with an eye towards protecting his enterprise from law enforcement. What Ali did not know is that this officer was an undercover agent working for investigators and law enforcement, all working to bring down this gambling enterprise from the inside. Ali was so confident in this operation that he actually offered to extend this police protection to other game rooms, of course, for a hefty fee. Gambling, of course, begins and it ends with cash. When you run a successful illegal gambling operation, you're going to have a lot of bulk currency. And you're going to need to find a way to deal with it. And so this indictment alleges that from 29 to 2025, this operation generated in excess of $22 million in illegal proceeds. So it's not just simply enough to obtain this illegal money. You have to find a way to clean it, to launder it. And here it is alleged that Ali paid his co-conspirators a percentage of the money to collect this bulk currency and to place it in other locations and stash houses and secrete it through legitimate businesses or otherwise legitimate seeming businesses and other hard assets such as real estate, luxury cars, and other items. Based on the number of assets seized, the number of real estate, other property, bank accounts, and such, as well as the number of agents used in this case, this is likely the largest Houston-based operation into illegal money laundering on the federal side, at least in the most recent years, in terms of illegal game rooms.
All right. Let's have a look at that. Let's talk about this. 30 game rooms. 30 illegal gaming places in one city. Does anybody within the sound of my voice think you're going to be able to run 30 illegal gaming places in one city and not get caught? It don't matter how many IDs you give people and access cards. I mean, hey, Charles, it might sound pretty smart until they're announcing your indictment. It might seem pretty smart, until they slamming them bars on you, till you doing that perp walk. He just got greedy. Absolutely. That's my point. That's my point. 30. They issued 47 warrants, was it, for other different places, but 30 gambling establishments. What makes you think you're going to operate that much in one city and not get caught? Now, there's a saying, and I use this saying a lot when we talk about Elon Musk, and that term is having more money than brains. Okay? He had more money than brains, is what he had. Now, let's go back to perspective. Now, a lot of people may think he was smart. Might have perceived this guy had some brains. I thought that was crazy. I've been meaning to talk about that for a minute. Considering everything that's going on. Everything that's going on around the country, around your city, my city. This guy's running 30 illegal gambling joints. He had to be something like a, modern day mob boss, Thought he was Teflon. He should have recruited more crooked cops. Well, unfortunately, the one crooked cop that he did recruit turned out to not be a crooked cop. He recruited, a cop that wasn't crooked. Of course. Yeah, he felt secure. He thought he had law enforcement help. when you got a cop on your side, first of all, you crazy if you trust a cop. Okay? I don't trust a cop anyway. A cop is just that. A cop. Now, I know plenty of police. If I was going to be doing something illegal, I certainly wouldn't trust a cop. Now, let me tell you from my perspective, okay? And this is all from my perspective. I know plenty of police, got friends that are police. If I was going to do something illegal, I would not trust them. If you want to know somebody I would trust even less, a crooked cop. I would trust a crooked cop 1,000 times less than your average everyday cop. That's the last person who I would enlist for help is a crooked cop. So, again, just my perspective. That's from the cheap seats. I tell you what, and again, everything is perception. Take JD, old JD Vance. JD Vance had a memorable statement that he made a few days back. Y'all remember? He made a statement that we're borrowing money from peasants to buy goods from peasants that's making them, or something to that effect. And he called them Chinese peasants. And the one thing that I thought in listening to this is how smoothly that rolled off the white man's tongue. He said it like he says it regularly. You know when somebody says something and you know they say this all the time, right? We all know people, that say certain stuff all the time. He said that like he said it, like he says things like that every day. And we are talking about J.D. Vance, a self-proclaimed hillbilly. We know about that. China, the Chinese, they've been dogging this guy ever since. They've been dogging him. Look at one of the videos they putting up about JD. Short clip. Check this out.
姐妹，乡巴佬假发套，中国制造，质量可靠。姐妹，乡巴佬假发套，中国制造，质量可靠。
They are killing JD on the internet. JD's eyeliner, his girly look is all over the internet again. They are dogging him, and especially in China. China's version of TikTok and social media, they are wearing him out. Europe, same thing. They tearing that fool up. Now, this is a person that's supposed to be the vice president of the United States. and and he literally wants to run for president later on himself. Now, understand, we gonna keep this on the line of perspective. Look, just take one look at this guy now. Do you think anybody perceives him as presidential material? I'm sure his family does, and the Fox News crew. We know those people. But does anybody perceive him as presidential material? Enough for him to win? I don't think so. Of course, we do have a guy who thinks he's not leaving. So it's all about perspective, how you perceive it, how you perceive something. And here we got a situation going that is about to come to a head, you know. We got a guy who's stretching the limits. We know who that guy is. He perceives himself a king. And he's moving the boundaries. He's moving outside of the law. And he's making a test of it. And again, I'll remind y'all that this guy that they say they mistakenly deported, I don't believe it was a mistake. I believe it was on purpose. And I believe this was a test. That's just me. I literally believe, because they had all of the guy's records. All of his records. And did anybody see the interview that doggone it, can't think of his name, senator went down and had a talk with him. They actually brought him out of the prison to have a talk with a senator, and they talked. Did anybody see? They were sitting there drinking water. Okay? They were sitting there drinking 2 glasses of water. And they had people come down and put 2 cocktail glasses in front of them with cherries or olives out the top. Okay? And immediately, the president of El Salvador and Fox News, okay, they went to tweeting that they were sitting there having margaritas. You see how that gets started? Now, they were sitting there having 2 glasses of water, and they sent somebody in to put cocktail glasses down in front of them, you know, with the rims dusted, you know, and a olive or cherry hanging out the glass. You see how corrupt they are? Now, Fox News will run that, and everybody will believe it. Everybody on Fox News that listen to Fox News, that hear Fox News, see it, they'll believe it. They'll believe it. They believe this guy's a terrorist because Fox News said he's a terrorist. See, they perceive anything that Fox News say is true. That's their perception. And speaking of Fox News, listen to this conversation. Listen to this conversation between, this is on another podcast, but listen to the guy talking about what he saw on Fox News. And listen to the people trying to tell him that Fox News does not tell him the truth. Check this conversation out.
This individual came in the country illegally.
Fact.
Illegally.
And
that's a
agreed.
fact. And
That's a
in
fact.
2019, two courts found him to be part of the MS-13.
No, they did not.
true.
No,
That's
not true. That's a
absolutely
lie.
not true.
That is
No,
a
well,
lie.
what they did is
you
they
can
said,
say it's not true.
Here's what they said. They said they didn't want to send him back to El Salvador because a rival gang, that tells you that he's part of a gang.
No.
A rival
No.
gang
No,
would have
no,
possibly
that's not what they
sent
said.
him
Not
down.
true.
Sal, here's
And then
still
in
not true.
2000,
Here's the issue.
2021,
I know you believe it's not true.
2021, he was accused of.
Oh,
he had to
you
have a
left out
protection order.
2019.
Okay.
The judge issued a protection order.
Then
That was
in
already
2021, he punched out his wife, threw her against a wall, and then they closed the case.
Okay, Sal.
That was the protection
Sal,
order.
here's and I've been having this conversation with
He's
so
not a Boy Scout.
I've been having this conversation with so many people over the last week. It doesn't matter if he's a Boy Scout. It doesn't matter if he's in the country legally. It doesn't matter if they want to deport him. You have to do it through the courts. You have to have due process. And the truth matters. No court has ever said or found that he's a member of MS-13.
Correct.
Never happened.
That's a lie.
So the fact that you keep hearing that on Fox and you're repeating it here, it's wrong. And it shouldn't be repeated anymore because it's not true.
Well, I believe Fox.
But Fox is,
Okay.
Fox is lying to you.
Did you hear that? I believe Fox. That's all you're going to get is I believe Fox. You can tell them all day long. Fox is lying to you. They're going to believe Fox. Fox has to be, Fox and Newsmax is newer than Fox. And that's funny. That somebody thought Fox needed competition. But to be crazy. They crazier than Fox. Newsmax is crazier than Fox. How about that? But they sit there and lie all day long to everybody that listens, and they take and soak it up and take it with them and spit out. You know, everything this guy just said, there was only one thing in everything he said that was true. Just one thing. He said the man came here illegally. The man did come here illegally. Okay. From that point on, everything was a lie. Which brings me to that MAGA supporter that I've been trying my best to get to come on. We had a conversation the other day. He finally called me back, and I'm trying to convince him, hey, man, make some time for me. He says he's going to make some time. And we started talking like we always do. And he started out with one true fact. They always have one fact. But everything that's built around that fact is a lie. But they perceive everything that Fox News says is the truth. He started out with something that was true. Joe Biden opened up the border and let all these immigrants start flowing across the border. That's true. I do not know why Joe Biden, he did not just open the gates and say, come on in. Of course not. But the minute he got in, he took and stripped out Trump's border policy. Now, from my perspective, he should have left that border policy in place and just blame Trump for everything. He could have left it in place, blame Trump for everything. Everything that happened at that border, this is Trump's policy. I just never took it out. This is what he did. But no, Biden took that policy out, and thousands was coming across that border on a daily basis. This is true. Now, this guy I'm talking about, he wrapped that one fact in about 10 different lies while we was talking. He wrapped that one fact in about 10 different Fox News lies. Until the point where I had to stop him. I had to tell him, hey man, look. You had a fact or two in there, but you just started wrapping it full of lies. And that's where they are. So, just before coming on, I heard a report that there is a couple of 1 or 2 more busloads of immigrants in Texas that they are trying to smuggle out of the country, under the cover of darkness. Did anybody hear about that? Did anybody hear anything about that and know anything further than what I just said? I didn't get a chance to hear the whole report. I just heard something about a busload of immigrants that the ACLU made an emergency appeal to get somebody to stop this busload of people from being took out of the country. Is anybody aware of this that, might know something different? Let me know if you do. If it is the case, if that's what they're trying to do, again, that comes back to this guy's he's trying to see how far he can go outside of the law to move the border. He's moving the boundary of the law as far as he can move it. I also understand that there have been people coming back into the country that are being stopped and held when they're coming back into the country, and until they can be investigated and so forth. I think this is a bad time to leave the country. I don't think I would leave the country right now. If you were thinking about leaving right now, you might want to put a hold on that for a minute, because, once you get out of the country, there's a lot of countries that's going to treat you kind of bad as an American, I think. I perceive that. From what I've been hearing, there's a lot of places that are none too happy about Americans. And most of them know that they know who was the guys that supported this guy. But there are those out there that would take and put a target on you just because you're an American. So if you've heard anything about that, chime in. Because again, these are a couple things that I just heard just before I was about to do this. But like I said, perspective is everything. Perspective is everything. The numbers that you hear. We hear numbers every day. We hear all of these different GDP numbers, CPI, the volatility rate. We hear all of these numbers, and unless they mean something to you, they just go over your head. Unless you got some perspective of what this means, everything goes over your head. So I'm gonna show a video that gives you an idea of some of the numbers that they kick around money-wise. When you hear this many billions and this many billions, kind of remember this little video I'm about to play, because when I'm listening to stuff, this is how I put it into focus for me, because I kind of understand what the numbers mean. Sometimes we don't understand what the numbers mean, and they blow right by us. So check this out. Check this just to get a little perspective of money and the numbers that are kicked out.
This is $500 billion. And to give you some type of reference, this is the White House. You've seen it many times. Imagine the White House full of $20 bills from corner to corner, first floor and second floor. That would be $500 billion. To give you another perspective, you're sitting at a football field, end zone to end zone, sideline to sideline, 2 stories tall, $20 bills, $500 billion. And that's what we're going to use for today's example. In 2018, the richest people in this nation, and there's about 500 of them approximately, held $3.1 trillion. $3.1 trillion, 6 White Houses full of $20 bills for 500 people. You fast forward to 2024, those same people now have $5.6 trillion. That is an 80% increase in their wealth. Did those tax cuts increase your wealth by 80%? This goes way beyond party. This is not a Democrat and Republican thing. This is a problem. This is what the Greeks warned about. The Greeks warned about oligarchies, which is a government of the few. We are giving up all of our control to a very limited amount of people. And why is that such a scary thing? Because those 2 blue cups right there, that is all of the money it requires to purchase everything in the United States military, $1.1 trillion. That's all the aircraft carriers, it's all of the helicopters, all of the tanks, all of the jets, everything. Do you think it's in our best interest to have people that could purchase the U.S. military multiple times over? We've got to get on the same page. We have to. If you think about it, the only way to rip off the United States, because you cannot launder trillions of dollars, you have to manipulate the tax code. They're clearly doing it. And we got to stop doing their dirty work. Trickle-down economics does not work. It's right there in front of you. They're hoarding the money. You know, when you go to the grocery store or Home Depot, you're checking yourself out. You're completely aware that there are robots being used on assembly lines. You know that they're investigating in AI. This is a massive problem. And for people that keep saying, I'm tired, I don't care about the tax cuts anymore, so I just don't care. It worked on you then. All of the gaslighting and all of the propaganda, they got you right where you want you. And it's so easy for me to see. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. This week, these tennis cans represent everybody in the NCAA. 630,000 people in the NCAA. And we had to legislate this week. We had to have an executive order that read like a tabloid protecting women in sports, whatever it was. This is the amount of people we're talking about. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what gaslighting is.
Now, that's what I mean by perspective. You know, you got to have some kind of reference when you see and hear these numbers and stuff. It's got to actually mean something, you know. those billionaires, private equity, boy, talk about got it licked. They got it licked. Anyway, you know, it's supposed to storm here sometime tonight and gonna ruin this beautiful evening. I think after I get off of here, I'm gonna go out and sit out in front for a minute and enjoy some more of this warmth. It's Friday. It's Good Friday. Is Good Friday a Christian thing or just purely religious, period? Somebody let me know. That's something I can't even remember. You know, when you're getting old, you can't remember shit. Good Friday is just religious, right? It's not straight Christianity. That's just spiritual, period, right? Somebody let me know. I might be sounding kind of stupid right now. Anyway. Excuse me. I think I'm going to go out and enjoy some of this weather. Count my blessings. Enjoy this Good Friday. Did anybody do anything special today? If you did, raise your hand. And I don't mean just went to work, but did you do anything special? Guess not. Nobody did anything special. I guess I was the only one happy today. Oh well. Anyway, I'm gonna I think I'm gonna cut it right here and enjoy some more this evening. No, not really. Well, you know, I understand how you probably didn't do anything because y'all weather good all the time, you know. And that ain't fair that y'all got all that good weather down in the 80s, sunny. You're probably laying out in your bikini chilling, huh? Getting tan lines. Boy, don't that sound good? Anyway, I'm going to call it good right here. I'm going to get out and just enjoy some of this warm breeziness. Happy Easter. Oh, y'all went swimming today. Oh, okay. Well, even going swimming is cool. Oh, that's right. Easter's Sunday. Man, I didn't even think of that. I keep telling y'all, you know, when you get past 60, boy, you just can't remember nothing. Anyway, tell you what, y'all have a good ass weekend. I'm gonna try to do the same thing. I'm gonna try to get a better perspective. Okay? It's Good Friday today. Well, that's what I was just asking. I know it's Good Friday. And I was, I just had got confused for a second as to whether Good Friday is for all religions, basically all religions, or was it just Christianity that had Good Friday? Ain't it basic to most religions, the Good Friday thing? And I'm not talking Jewish or Muslim. I don't think I don't know. I'm pretty sure Muslims don't care about Good Friday. But I was saying in general. That was the thing I was kind of confused about. But anyway, be that as it may, enjoy your Good Friday. Enjoy your Easter if you're going to get dressed up and go out there and go to church with your Sunday best on. You know, I remember that there used to be a saying, if you didn't go to church but once a year, it should be on Easter. Well, let's see how many of you do that. Anyway, whatever you do this weekend, enjoy your weekend, and we'll be back Monday. And y'all have a good one, and I will see you then. All right? Take it easy.